My name is David Jervis, and while searching for a home in Devon to move closer to relatives, including our only granddaughter, my wife Nikki and I embraced the magic of Dartmoor and retraced some of the adventures of my grandfather and family a century ago. What follows is a brief illustrated peek into their lives. What better way of relaxing after navigating the upper reaches of the Amazon to mend a radio station, by helping to win World War I and designing the BBC's first transmitter, than taking the family on a drive over Dartmoor. My grandfather, Capt HJ Round MC, did all this and more. He was a workaholic, spending much time abroad on behalf of, and sometimes with, his friend and boss Guglielmo Marconi. But Henry Round always found time for his family, taking them to favourite holiday destinations, including Dawlish Warren, Weston-super-Mare and Bude. Between 1912 and 1931, Henry and his wife Olive had 7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys. Many hours were enjoyed on the beach, but from time to time, dressed in their Sunday best, the family clambered into their impressive chauffeur-driven car and ventured across Dartmoor or down the spectacular Cheddar Gorge and other popular places. How do we know all this? As well as being a pioneer of wireless and radio electronics, Henry Round was a fanatical amateur photographer and filmmaker. Hundreds of photos and a dozen cine films remain as a glorious window into the past. Wherever they went, his wife and children, and anyone else who happened to be around, would inevitably appear on film. Little did they know that their lives would be observed with such interest and affection 100 years later. All those featured in these photos and films are no longer with us. The last to die in 2006 was my mother, Anne, who was too young, at the age of 2, to feature in the 1928 Dartmoor trip. Henry Round had died 40 years before, in 1966, when I was 13. The films and photos in our archives show an active family living and playing happily together. But one big blot in the life of the Round family took place in 1945, when John Round, the young boy in the photos and film, was killed flying his Spitfire over Burma just 8 weeks before the end of World War II. Aged just 22, he died a hero, having been awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for his battles against the Luftwaffe over the English Channel in 1942 and 43. Back to the present, and our visit to Dartmoor on Maybank holiday weekend, when plenty of people were enjoying the fine weather. We drove through a busy 2 bridges and stopped for some lunch at Widdecombe-in-the-Moor. The village sign from my grandfather's film was gone, replaced by a newer one in 1948. I searched for a local historian without success. I showed my video on my iPad to 2 women running a stall in the craft fair. I think they were interested. Returning to our base in Tavistock, I smiled at the thought of my aunts and uncle climbing the rocks in the river wearing their best clothes. Stopping regularly to allow cars to pass, I also wondered how those big old cars and charabanc managed the narrow roads. I hope soon to trace my family's steps more regularly, if I can just find somewhere to live in beautiful Devon.